Is this thing on? Hi! Welcome to my very first YouTube video where I have no idea what I'm doing, but here we go. So I've been a content creator for the last few years on all the other platforms, but I decided it's time to come to YouTube. And I figured what better first video to do than a get to know me. So I asked a bunch of questions on my Instagram and had you submit a bunch of questions for me to answer. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about myself while I answer those and curl my hair. I can already tell you the hardest part about making this video is going to be that I'm very used to short form, choppy content on the other platforms. But I really love watching YouTube videos where creators just talk and tell a story. And it's gonna be very hard for me to not stop when I mess up and just start my sentence over, because that's what I'm used to doing with heavy editing on other platforms. I'm gonna try really hard not to do that, but if I stop mid-sentence and start over, it's because that's what I'm used to. So let's start by telling you a little bit about myself while I curl my hair, and then we'll dive into the questions. So my name is Marla Bracey, and I'm going to be 34 years old this year. I am a mom and a wife, and now a stay-at-home full-time content creator. So I have a degree as a physical therapy assistant, which I practiced in for about 8 years, and I was furloughed at the beginning of the pandemic. And I'm an artist at heart. I've done that for a couple of years, and I decided to try my hand at painting while we were on a break during the pandemic. So I started diving heavily into my artistry and realized very quickly I only had 2 hands and I can only paint so much in a 24-hour time period, and I was having so much fun creating content around my artistry that I told my husband I really felt like I could do something with content creation and I wanted to pursue it full time. And I said, if you will give me a year and let me see what I can make of this, I think I can really do something and turn this into income for us. So with absolutely no idea what I was doing, I just dove in head first. I told people on my platforms that were following me back then that that's what I was gonna do, and sink or swim, they could just be along for the ride. It has been the most phenomenal 5 years of my life. It has been so cool, of the most unbelievable experience, and honestly fulfilling dreams that I never even knew to dream because I didn't realize they were attainable, and it's just been so fun. That's what led us here. My husband and I have been married for 13 years. We have 2 beautiful daughters who are 10 and 6. And now I'll just dive into some of the questions. And one of the most commonly asked questions was, why don't I show my husband and my kids on social media? So my husband and I are complete polar opposites. He is very introverted, and in fact, he doesn't even have any of the social media apps on his phone. He is very could live the rest of his life and never open another social media app. And every time I open my eyeballs first thing in the morning, I'm opening all of my apps. But I will tell you that I have been trying to convince him for the last year to agree to be in a video with me. I keep telling him, what is one big goal that we can set that if I attain, you will agree to be in a video with me? So if you have any suggestions, feel free to give those to me, because I have yet to convince him to do that. And then my kids, honestly, that's a decision that we went back and forth on a little bit when I first decided to start. My husband really didn't want the kids in my content, and so we left them out. And there have been a couple of times through the years that I have thought about adding them randomly, just like because they're a part of my everyday life, clearly. So they're in the background a lot when I'm filming, but I decided to just prioritize my time for while they were at school, because they're both school age, and I could get all of my filming done while they were gone. And honestly, there have been a few times where I have thought about like revisiting that subject, and every time I think about it, there's always something that happens or comes to mind that makes me just want to stick to what I'm doing. So I have no idea what the future holds for us. We are literally just taking all of these decisions basically a day at a time and figuring it out as I go. One of the fun questions I got asked was, what are some details from my wedding? Because if you've been following me for a while, I am a very creative person, and several people mentioned that they wanted to know any like fun elements that we did at our wedding. So we got married 13 years ago, and this was kind of before wedding vlogs and stuff were a thing. And then of course back then I wasn't doing social media, so I have no wedding video, really just pictures and everyone's like snapshots from the day. So let me just tell you my favorite aspect that I came up with that we did at my wedding. We had a wedding at a golf course at a country club, and it was outdoors. And I wanted, instead of a single aisle for me and all my bridesmaids and stuff to walk down, because we had a pretty highly attended wedding, I wanted to be able to be close to and see everyone. So we had our audience set up in a big spiral and we got married at the middle. So it was a huge circle and basically only like 3, maybe 4 rows deep. And we walked in all the way to the middle. So we basically got to walk by every single visitor, which was my favorite part of my wedding. Anytime anybody asked me what my favorite thing was of that day, that's it. Everyone got to be seated for the wedding, including all of the wedding party, so that we were the only 2 and the speaker visible in the middle. So it was just very comfortable and the coolest aspect, I think, of our wedding. Okay, before we move on to the next section, I'm going to show you something that leads into the next question, because if you're new to finding me here on YouTube, I mentioned that I am an artist, and one thing I have been known for the last few years is hand painting Stanley Cups. This has been something that has truly changed my life and the trajectory of my life and what I'm pursuing. And I know that may sound silly, but I could talk about this for a long time about what painting that first Stanley Cup did for me and how it made my account start skyrocketing in so many ways and just open up so many cool opportunities for me. So a lot of the questions were, how long have I been painting? What got me into it? Why did I paint my first Stanley Cup? So I have painted since I was very young, and I've never taken any lessons or anything. My mom tried to put me in painting lessons at one point, and I think I maybe went once or twice. But I wasn't really interested in learning. And so it's been a very self-taught thing over the last few years, and honestly just developing my style. I've really wanted Marla Bracey Designs, which is the name of my artistry business, to be very self-recognized, so that when you see something, you know that it's mine. So developing that over the last few years has been really fun. And to be honest with you, I cannot remember why I painted the first Stanley Cup. A couple of things come to mind. I think someone sent me a video with maybe someone else putting something on their Stanley Cup that made me think about how pretty my flowers would be on a Stanley Cup. And then for some reason in the back of my mind, I feel like I heard someone also mention that their cup was scratched or damaged, and that I maybe thought it would be a good way to cover up imperfections or something. But I'll be honest, I really can't remember which is which. And it all just kind of went from there. And my number one goal with my artistry for the last couple of years, if you follow me on the other platforms, has been that I really, really, really want to collaborate with Stanley. And I want them to manufacture my artwork on their Stanleys, because I have a dream of being able to walk into a store with my 2 daughters and buying something that has my artwork on it off a shelf. And I know that I could create a product line myself and pitch it to these big companies. I really don't have a reason for not doing that, other than my very stubborn personality just wants so badly to prove a point that I can do this and collaborate with other big brands. And I just kind of don't want the responsibility of all the other things on my plate. I just kind of want to be the artist behind it and someone else do all the logistics, you know? So I've been pitching to Stanley and similar brands for the last couple of years, and I've had a couple of really cool collaborations, but nothing printed onto cups yet, and that's the ultimate dream for Marla Bracey Designs. And then a bunch of you wanted to know some goals for me for Marla Bracey as a brand. So when I decided to start pursuing content creation, I wanted to really separate Marla Bracey Designs in artistry from Marla Bracey Designs as a brand. So I worked on how to separate those two so that I could do things like work with other brands and be known as more than just an artist, and really dive into content creating, which sounds weird, I think, if you're not someone who loves social media, but I love creating content. I love filming. I love editing. I love everything about it. So what's been really fun for me over the last couple of months is filming shop with me videos. I've had a couple of videos do really well on platforms where I'm creating gift ideas for you to gift for birthday parties, baby showers, all that kind of stuff. And since I'm a creative person, I decided to just take Marla Bracey as a brand and showcase my creativity, but not always in painting and artistry. Just how like being a creative person can kind of translate into everyday life. I don't know. I think that's the best way I can explain it. All right, I'm gonna let all these curls cool off for a minute before we shake them out, and let's go through a few more questions. Someone said, do you ignore, not read, or laugh at the haters? So if you're gonna pursue social media, you have to learn to grow with thick skin and just get over it, because it's gonna happen. And I'll never forget the first time I experienced my first wave of that type of negativity or controversy. It freaked me out in the beginning, and I was really overwhelmed by it until someone told me that it meant that I made it. If this many strangers had something negative to say about something that was so silly, then you've made it, right? And I have remembered that since that day, and there are very few times that negativity or controversy comes through on my account, because I really try to be positive, uplifting, and just like your average next door neighbor who's just a mom that has no idea what she's doing with social media and taking big chances. And you just really have to remember that sometimes when I get those messages or whatever from strangers, I have really learned to just let it go in one ear and out the other. Or sometimes it can be constructive criticism to where I reevaluate something I said or did and kind of rethink things. But for the most part, it is always so silly, and you just have to learn to let it go. They said, do you ignore or not read? I always read. I read every single DM that I can get my fingertips to, and I'm the only one running my social media accounts. It's literally just me. And so I read all of them. Most of the times I don't respond or whatever, but I also think that there have been a few times I have tried to respond with absolute, just overwhelm them with kindness, and that never fails. It turns into a really nice conversation, because hardly anyone ever comes back with something negative to say on top of me responding with kindness. So there's advice you didn't ask for. Somebody asked what my dream goal is that I want to achieve as an influencer while we separate all of these curls. So I really don't have goals written down anywhere. I have just random things that I know are attainable for me that I hope I can just see like play out in my life over the next few years. I want to be making full-time income that can change mine and my family's life. But to be honest with you, I really don't have like lavish dreams. I just want to be able to provide an incredible life for my kids and be able to go and do with them for the next 30 years because of all the effort and hard work I put in for the last few years. I would love to hit 1 million followers on one of my platforms. I definitely want to partner with someone with my artwork. I have a dream of partnering with like your average everyday brands. So I've built my following off of just being like the girl next door. We live in a small house well below our means, and we're just like a typical family. We actually don't love to travel. We are very frugal, and so our life is just here in the little town I've always lived in. I never have plans of moving or leaving. I've known my husband since we were little bitty kids. We went to elementary school together. We didn't start dating until high school. Our parents have always known each other, and I live 4 minutes from both sets of my parents and my husband's parents. We wouldn't have it any other way. I love living here so much, and I just really find that I love to follow people who are like me, and so I hope that everyone else finds similarities in me, that I'm just like everyone else and I'm just a regular mom who truly has no idea what she's doing here and is just chasing little dreams one day at a time. Just like this YouTube video, I have put this off for so long because I thought I really needed like the best camera, the best background, the best lighting, all those things. And I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna literally go for it. And here we are. And this is me promising that I'm posting this video no matter what, okay? Yeah, I don't really have any like written down dreams or whatever, just kind of random thoughts in my mind, and I just want to chase this one day at a time. And my goal is for every year to just be exponentially better than last year, and whatever that looks like for me. I was talking to someone about what opportunities I'm open to, and I said I am open to every opportunity. I want to hear every pitch. I want to hear every crazy idea, and honestly, for me, sometimes the crazier the better, and that's why I love to chase like really outside of the box dreams. Whatever made me send the first painted PR box. So if you're newer to my channels, Something I started doing when I was first trying to grow my artistry when I left my job in physical therapy was I decided to send my painted Stanleys that I had just started doing to big content creators to try to cross over into their followings. And also, these were people who I was really hoping one day I would be able to become an influencer and like pattern my content after. Or that I had just looked up to for their hustle and drive, because I knew even way back then before I started that doing social media full time was not just fun, that it was hard work. And oh my gosh, is that ever more true than I even realized? So my first influencer I ever sent to was actually Molly Ann, and it was the craziest day. I remember it was a Wednesday when she posted about it and tagged me on social media, and I was going into church that night, and thankfully I was volunteering in the nursery, so I was able to like look at my phone because I usually don't pay attention to my phone during church. And it was insane. And back then I couldn't have imagined things being any cooler than that. And it is just like every experience has blown my mind in that same way since then. So I started doing that more often, sending painted Stanleys to influencers just to try to get more eyeballs on my account in hopes to one day partner with Stanley. And I knew that a lot of these influencers had connections already to Stanley. So my hope was to also just get in front of them. And then the first time I ever painted a PR box was the one I sent to Jaclyn Hill. So in my mind, Jaclyn Hill had this warehouse where she probably had mounds of boxes that were sent to her by brands and companies, because she was always doing these like big PR hauls. And I just pictured like a huge warehouse in a big corner of boxes taller than I could see of just stuff she's been sent. When I got her address from her manager to be able to send her something, or actually it may not have been her manager, it was just someone connected to her that told me I could send PR to her and gave me a random address to send to. So I thought, what can I do to make this box stand out to where she will open this box or want to open it? So I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to paint it. So I just took a regular cardboard box that I ship everything in and painted my florals around the entire box, sealed it. I think back then I sealed it with just like Mod Podge maybe, I don't even remember, and shipped it to her. And I remember taking that box to the post office and praying over it. And I just said, God, if this could possibly be your will to be a huge door for me in getting in front of the right people, please just do what you will with this. If this doesn't end up in the corner of a warehouse somewhere, I will be so thankful. And I will never forget opening my phone. I was actually driving, don't come at me, and I remember where I was on the highway, and I pulled over because I thought I was going to hyperventilate, because she tagged me when she opened the box on stories, and my Instagram I thought was going to blow up. It was going insane, and that was what took me from 7,000 followers on Instagram to 12,000 that night. And that was the biggest jump I had seen so far, and really kind of the start of a snowball effect for me. And I say this often to people who ask me for social media advice. Once you ever find something that will get a snowball rolling for you, if you stay at it, it can really continue in that snowball effect. So if you're pursuing social media, here's my unsolicited advice. Find something that works and keep doing stuff until you do. I can't tell you how much I have tried and failed. And then one day something's going to stick, and it's going to start a snowball effect that you could never have dreamed. Those have all been kind of long-winded answers, so let me just spitfire a couple at you that I see really quick. Someone said, how long has it taken for you to grow this account to what it is? I started this account in 2023, and I had 3,000 followers that were just friends and family for the last several years, and that had just been with my artistry up to that point, and I decided to try to pursue content creation, and that's where it's all started from. So just a couple of years. How did me and my husband meet? We've known each other since we were kids. We went to elementary school together. He often jokes about seeing me on the playground and knowing back then, but funny story, we never dated until we were in high school, and we've been together ever since. And I was the one who made the first move, okay? We were at my high school basketball gym, and he was there watching someone else play because we did not go to the same high school together. And some reason I thought I remembered what his phone number might be because I had heard a friend say it before. And I typed it in my phone, and I could see him sitting across the gym, and I texted him and said, "Is this Steven?" And he said, "No." And I was looking at him and I could see him texting me that. And then he responded later that he was just kidding, it was him, but he at first told me it was not. And he is literally the best person in the entire world. I know everyone probably says that about their spouse, and he's never going to see this because he doesn't do social media. So he is literally the most incredible human being. If you know him, you know. Somebody asked more about my faith Bible study routine testimony. I have been in church my entire life. I was raised Pentecostal. I have attended a Pentecostal church my entire life. I go to Woodlawn Church. It is the best church in the entire world. And if you ever find yourself around Columbia, Mississippi, you need to come and sit with me at Woodlawn. Someone said, what's one thing you want your kids to gain from your bold career change? My kids honestly don't know a ton about what I do because they're not in my content. And one really positive thing about them not being in my content is that I don't film a lot when they're around, or hardly ever, I guess. So they don't see me in my phone doing those types of things a lot. They just see me like editing and stuff, but they don't really know what I'm doing. So I just really hope that one day when they realize what I've been able to do, that they are inspired and know that they can chase the most crazy dreams. I just want my kids to see my faith and lack of fear and not being scared and not being worried about what people think. I just really hope I can show my kids boldness and being who they are and chasing their dreams no matter what they are. Someone asked how it's been going working while walking on my walking pad. I am on day 6 today of walking on a walking pad that I got on Amazon Prime Day, and I'm walking 10,000 steps a day because my family members all decided to get very healthy all at the same time and start walking together. And they started a group chat where they send screenshots every day of their steps, which encouraged me to look at how many steps I'm taking on my phone. And I was averaging, you ready for this? I was averaging about 1,500 steps a day. That is so bad. That's like walking to the kitchen a few times and then doing nothing, because most of my job requires me sitting down painting, sitting down filming, sitting down editing, and something had to give. So I have actually been using my time on the walking pad. I'm trying to learn how to paint while I walk using my table. And then if I can't do that, then I spend my time editing, doing emails, computer work, and that type of thing. And we're on day 6 and it's going really well. I'm actually getting to the point where when I wake up in the morning, I'm really excited and like I walk straight in here and start walking, and it's been really nice. Said, I've heard you sing in your car. Do you sing in church? I love to sing in the shower. I love to sing in the car. I love to sing at home. I used to sing in church a long time ago, but when we had kids, just getting really busy, I haven't sang in church in a very long time, but I do love to sing, and I am not embarrassed to say that I'm not like a great singer. I'm just I'm a good background singer, so I can know enough to like follow a tune and sing what notes I need to sing, and then that's about it. I'm not a very creative singer. I don't know like how to ad-lib very well, how to cover music. I can just hear what is being sang or played and mimic it. All right, the last question. What's your favorite dream you've accomplished and brands you were hoping to work with or for? My favorite dream I have accomplished so far is actually something that I'll hopefully be able to announce to you in the next couple of months. It is the start of something new, and I am so excited to even be in this position at all, and I can't wait to tell you more about it. I definitely want to work with other brands more than just trying to get my artwork on Stanley. I'll tell you, the coolest full circle moment for me has been taking my kids to the store and seeing products on shelves that brands are also sending to me to our house. And I guess really everything boils down to just wanting to show my kids that I can be successful in what I put my mind and heart to. And I'm just so beyond thankful to have gotten here so far. And I'm really excited to be starting this YouTube journey. Hopefully this video turns out well and that I don't just word vomit all over you for this entire time. I'll leave all of my socials to all the other platforms below. I hope you hit the subscribe button, like this video, leave me a comment on what you'd like to see from me for the future. I'll tell you that some of my plans are to hopefully do some really cool long form DIY videos for you, and maybe like weekly vlogs where I take clips all week long of being an artist, trying to become a content creator, and just becoming your favorite influencer as your favorite girlfriend next door. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next time.